or a drink of water is worth more than the milk of 1,000 camels. This 14th century Bedouin proverb is not poetry. It is a literal statement of value. For the ancient desert nomad, survival was not a matter of chance. It was a science. Water was not something to be found, but something to be read, a hidden language in the sand, rock, and sky. Today, we explore the systematic, near-invisible methods used to find and preserve this liquid gold in the driest places on Earth. The physics of the deep desert are lethal and absolute. The problem is not just the lack of rain, it is the rate of evaporation. In the full sun, a human body can lose over a liter of water per hour simply through sweat. A puddle left by a rare downpour vanishes not in days, but in minutes. The air itself is a thief, drawing moisture from skin, breath, and earth with relentless efficiency. For the nomadic peoples of the Sahara or the Arabian Peninsula, this was the baseline reality. Their existence was a constant negotiation with dehydration. A static village, reliant on a single well, was a fragile anchor. The nomad, however, was mobile, a specialist in applied hydrology. Their survival did not depend on the cinematic discovery of a sprawling, palm-fringed oasis. Such places were rare, heavily contested, and often unreliable. The true art of desert resourcefulness lay in mastering the ephemeral, the temporary, and the hidden. It was the ability to harvest the morning dew, to anticipate a flash flood, or to find water sources that were completely invisible to the untrained eye.
The cycle of the seasons follows this ancient
This was not a desperate gamble.
By the celestial movements
It was a
across the
seasonal,
sky.
systematic rotation of microsources, each one understood, managed, and preserved. The challenge was not just to find water, but to find it every single day. The nomad's primary tool was not a shovel, but knowledge. This resourcefulness was a curriculum of applied science, passed down through generations.
Respect and patience.
First was the art of reading the land. The desert is not a uniform wasteland. It is a map of subtle clues. The key was to identify indicator plants. A healthy acacia tree, for example, with its deep taproots, signals the presence of a water table far below the surface. The bitter desert gourd, Citrullus colocynthus, while inedible, often grows where moisture gathers just beneath the sand. An entire system of botany existed purely to identify these living signposts. But the most critical landscape feature was the Wadi, or dry riverbed. To the untrained eye, it is a scar of sun-baked gravel. To the nomad, it is a subterranean reservoir. They understood that a wadi is not dead, merely dormant. Water from flash floods, even those that happened months prior, does not simply vanish. It soaks deep into the porous
Here we see
sand,
the water percolating
held
downwards,
safe from the sun's
accumulating in the
evaporation
protective
by the
gravel
gravelly
layer,
layers
safe
above.
from the evaporation rising above it.
This knowledge led to the second skill, the Theba. This is the practice of digging a sip well. This was not a random excavation. The nomad would walk the wadi, observing the lowest point on the outside of the bend.
Identify the outside of the bend.
They knew
This
that as
is the
water
deepest
flowed,
point of the channel.
physics dictated it would pool and
The faster
percolate
current on the
deepest at this
outside of the
specific
bend
point.
causes significant scouring and
Here,
erosion, while the
they would
slower
begin
water
to
on the
dig. SFX. Sound of scraping gravel and sand. The hole would be just deep enough, perhaps 1 or 2 meters, to reach the cool, damp sand. Water would slowly, miraculously, begin to seep into the depression. It was a small, finite amount, but it was clean, filtered by the sand itself, and crucially, it was there. As the 19th century explorer Charles Doughty noted in his
Draw
journals,
draughts of
his
water
Bedouin guides could draw drafts of water
from the dry gravel.
from the dry gravel of the Sail, the wadi bed. Third was the mastery of microsources, specifically dew. In many deserts, the temperature drop at night is extreme. This differential causes moisture from the air to condense on cool surfaces. Nomads would identify specific dew traps, often wide, flat rock formations, or even purpose-built, shallow stone piles. Before sunrise, they would use animal hair cloths or sponges to mop up this precious, distilled water, wringing it out into a container. SFX. Sound of a coarse cloth being wiped over stone, a ringing sound, a drip. It was a labor-intensive process for a small yield, but it was reliable. Daily water. Finally, finding the water was only half the battle. Storing it was the true technological marvel. The primary technology was the Guerba, or Shirba, the goatskin water skin. This was not a simple bag. Its construction was a masterwork of resourcefulness. According to manuals on Bedouin craft, the skin of a goat would be meticulously prepared. It was cured not with chemicals, but with salt and the bark of the acacia tree. The tannins in the bark would seal the pores, making the hide durable. The legs and neck would be tied off with intricate, waterproof knots, leaving one opening as a spout. But the true genius of the Guerba was its function. It was not designed to be perfectly waterproof. The skin would sweat, allowing a minuscule, controlled amount of water to seep through the pores, dampening the exterior. In the hyper-dry desert air, this moisture would evaporate instantly. This process, evaporative cooling, would draw the heat out of the bag, keeping the water inside not just contained, but actively chilled, even under the full blaze of the sun. It was a living piece of technology, an ancient refrigerator crafted from the most basic materials, ensuring that a sip of water was always cool, safe, and available. When we examine these techniques, we see more than just a collection of survival skills. We are looking at a different mode of perception. Where we see a barren, uniform wasteland, the desert nomad saw a dynamic, living system, full of subtle indicators, hidden pathways, and stored potential. The Theba was not a lucky guess. It was the result of reading physics in the gravel. The Guerba was not just a container, it was applied thermodynamics. This ancient resourcefulness was, at its core, a form of profound intimacy with the environment. It was the antithesis of the modern, brute force approach of drilling wells and laying pipelines.
The world ahead is complex.
It was a
Do
partnership,
not seek easy answers,
an act of
but
careful
strive for
listening and
understanding
precise
in all
response.
things.
We, too, live in environments that can feel arid, deserts of information, of social connection, or of opportunity. We often feel we lack the resources to solve our problems. But the wisdom of the nomad provides a sense of agency. It suggests that the resources are not absent. They are merely hidden, waiting for the trained eye. The lesson is that survival, and even thriving, is not about the abundance you are given, but about the perception you cultivate. The challenge is the same as it ever was: to learn to read the land we find ourselves in, and to see the water beneath the sand. This wisdom is a vital part of our human archive. If you believe in preserving these practical solutions, support our work. And to our community of fellow problem solvers, we ask, what stories of resourcefulness, of finding or preserving precious resources, have been passed down in your own families or communities? Share them below